DoubleTree Hotel in Dearborn, Michigan, and I have the amazing photographer, Lance Sabbag, who is of Dragon Media, as I recall?
Blue Dragon Media.
Blue Dragon Media.
Blue Dragon Media.
Of course, it's Blue Dragon.
Of course.
And also the organizer of this interesting event, Dancestuck. Homestuck. What is Homestuck?
What is Homestuck? Homestuck is a webcomic and an internet sensation that has been going on for a few years now. It is a multitude of fandoms, kind of, but it really is about 4 kids playing a video game. In my opinion, 4 kids that play a video game that ends the world and goes from there.
So it starts out by ending the world.
Pretty much. It begins with these kids playing this game, and they start seeing around them, they're seeing on the news and on TV while you're reading the comic, that there are other people trying to play the game, and something's weird's going on because after a while, a meteor crashes into their house and kills them.
Playing the game.
Playing the game. Because they're trying to play the game and it's not working for them. Only the 4 kids are meant to play the game.
So there are 4 kids who are destined to play the game.
Correct.
And what does Homestuck mean?
I have personally, have never, it's kind of one of those odd names. It starts out with a kid locked in his room. So it could mean that. And then you see kind of these really odd machinations throughout the comic of the kids rebuilding their houses into these giant towers. So it could mean, that could be the aspect relating back to its name, but it really is just this kind of like all-encompassing title. Because eventually it means nothing about being at home and being stuck there. Because these kids are running around through the universe itself.
And from what I've been told, creating or recreating,
or creating spawning a new universe, like you would plant the seed of a plant to make another plant from one pot to another, or multiple pots. Would be a way to visualize the idea of what they're doing. The series gets kind of complex in the multitude. It's kind of like if you took like a kid's comic but threw in like Doctor Who elements with a bunch of science fiction and fantasy aspects too, playing like a role-playing game. And that's kind of, and you hit the blend button on a blender and kind of what you get.
One of the other fellows I interviewed said that it's kind of like it's created by a mad scientist or something along the lines.
I can buy that. I mean, it is pretty out there, especially some of the earlier stuff that goes on. It's kind of all over the place, and that's actually due because of the way the comic began. It actually began as a form adventure where people would tell the writer what to do, and he would do that in the comic. So like the first chapter of the story is really out there and kind of wonky.
And then the rest is him trying to justify that?
Yes. And then running off with, and he does great things, like there's these really awesome foreshadowing that you have no idea is foreshadowing that totally come back later, and it could be like a year later that he pulls it back into the comic. And you're like, why did I skip that part? I gotta go back and read this now.
Very cool. So, tell me about the character you cosplay.
So, I ended up doing one of the more iconic photos on the internet of Andrew Hussey himself, in the black shirt with the Solix horns, wearing his glasses with a scruffy beard. So, I actually was cosplaying the creator, and that was a way that I could be personally in charge and doing everything and still look respectable while I was dealing with all the back-end stuff of discussing stuff at the hotel and taking care of the event in general.
So you could take off your horns to talk to the hotel manager?
Oh yeah, I could easily be like, I'm a normal, sane person.
You don't fool me, but I understand.
Aw, I'll have to work on that, John.
Fooling me? Not going to happen. Pause for a minute. After a brief interruption to say goodbye to some folks, why did you want to, okay, we just discussed why you wanted to do Hussey so you could do other things. But how did you get involved in Homestuck in the first place?
About 2 years ago, someone got one of our friends that was part of our convention and cosplay groups
Right?
into Homestuck, and it took over. And literally one by one, each of us fell, and she got us to read it, and we all started jumping in and started getting caught up to the comic. And then by Youmacon 2011, we were all caught up and we were all cosplaying.
So, this is not your first cosplay of the Homestuck group.
No, it is not.
And what has been your observance of Homestuck in general?
The now, as the comic or the fandom itself?
The fandom.
The fandom that we have here in Michigan is a really great community. We have been putting on events and trying to keep stuff organized in a very regular pace, especially in between cons when we have slow con seasons, like this month and like we had here. We had a time about 2 months where we put an event in to get together in Michigan, and we really come together as a community, as a family, and really try to better the fandom and to pretty much have fun. Just to be able to have fun, get out, dress up, and do fun things with each other.
Very cool. So how many people did you have here tonight?
We had almost 70 people in attendance.
Wow. And these people are just here for the evening and then going home, or?
We have some people that came out as far as Chicago.
Yep.
And so they are staying at the hotel. And some people live nearby and they're just going home now. So we had people come from quite a wide area to come hang out.
So how did you put this together?
Well, this hotel here, we as a group of the people that I'm connected with have a really good standing with them. And from beginning to talk with them about what I could do here, getting a ballroom and providing food and dinner for everybody, I found out what I needed, and I actually started a funding project online on GoFundMe to get the word out. And it kind of went viral through Facebook and Tumblr, and I collected registrations by a pledge system to try to get the ticket sales so we could even just have the event and get the cost covered.
You told me something interesting happened while you were like fretting over if people are even going to show up.
Oh, yeah. Found out that like friends of mine that were like pledging and getting into it, and then all of a sudden it's like, hey, I can't book rooms. Can you check in the hotel? And the hotel told me, oh yeah, your room block is sold out. So we had more room sales for enough people to be here before the pledge even completed. So it was kind of a real surprise. Like, should I be concerned or should I take? And I actually took it as like, okay, cool. I think this is going to work because there's a lot of people already booking rooms to come.
Right. Yeah. Usually the problem is not selling enough rooms to cover the con.
Yeah.
Is usually more the concern as opposed to selling too many rooms and not even knowing if you're going to have the.
Not even knowing if we're going to be able to have dinner that night.
When you told me about that, that was awesome.
Yep.
So, where do you tend to go from here with this?
Closing, everybody wants to do another event. So normally I do a lot of public meetups at malls, get-togethers in like Ann Arbor or other towns, and people just coming together in an area to hang out, like at like an arcade and food and going to do dinner and stuff. We also get together outside at cons sometimes for the adults to go out and be adults and step away and be able to drink and party at the bars near the con areas. But it seems that everybody had a really good time. I think it's going to get bigger than this if I throw another event, and it should be a little easier to throw next time, as in we should be able to get like at least 50% again attendance. And hopefully I won't destroy my voice like I kind of did tonight. I can already hear it going.
I've been kind of shouting myself with all the music, the fun, the revelry in the background.
Good friend of mine from the steampunk community, DJ Tommy Tooney. He steampunks and spins almost all the Michigan events for steampunk. Got him to come out, so he's here. He had a blast. He said the crowd was great all night long. So I think it's going to happen again. I think they're going to want him back again. It's probably going to happen, but I got to figure out a time because we're about to get into the summer con season.
Very true.
Yeah.
Will you be doing Shudocon in 2 weeks?
Yes, I will. I'm actually one of the photographers and press people that will be running around Shudo. So you'll probably see me dual wielding cameras at my sides. I don't really cosplay because of that, because I got so much gear, but I'll be around. People hear me.
So you're not going to be doing the Homestuck cosplay?
I'll have a couple cosplays. They'll be subtle. I'll probably have like just the shirt on to symbolize one of the characters and to give my throw out to that. But because of how much work I got to do, it's really hard to cosplay and do photography at the same time.
I fully understand that.
Yep.
By the way, when I asked you about the Homestuck genre, it's almost becoming a genre of itself because
it's so massive.
Exactly.
So I think we're going to see it where it's supposed to end this summer, and it's supposed to come to its climax, and then we're going to have a pause, like when like a TV show goes from season to season, because he got the funding off his Kickstarter to create a video game. So we will see how the genre and the fandom itself progresses, especially when we get more content like that after the story itself ends.
Mm-hmm. Very cool. And everyone says, in your observance, when did this explode, or has it been an ongoing growth that's just been steady?
Speaking of Shudocon, our first Shudocon we went to, we saw trolls there. And a couple of us are like, what's up with the blind people walking around? I guess that's really cool that they're cosplaying. I give them props because they had the canes. And then we found out that like a year later at the next Shudocon, and when we got into Homestuck, where there was only like 20 people there was like a couple hundred. And it's just year over year, as time goes on, it's word of mouth, and people are telling their friends, and more people are reading it. It's just kind of exponentially growing. So I think it started out really small as a niche market, and it's just exploded into this very underground, very mainstream thing at all the conventions, and we're seeing it everywhere now.
How many people did you have at your shoot at Youmacon?
I think around about 750 people to 1,000, but there was well over that amount at Youmacon itself, because we had both the Renaissance Center and Gobo. Not everybody came to the photo shoot. Some people were off doing other things.
Yeah, it's an amazing con, but still, when I walked past and saw you in the middle of that horde of
horns and everything else.
Exactly.
You should have heard me the next day. I could not even talk more than this. I had no voice. But it went amazingly well. A couple hours of shooting. Homestucks love to do photo shoots. They love to get the show off their cosplays, because people, I think it's a great fandom for cosplayers, because people can start out really simple, but then with everything else that goes into it, as you progress, people start working really hard and making really complex costumes, and they challenge themselves and they get really creative.
Very cool. Well, do you have anything you'd like to add?
I would just like to say that if you are in the Michigan community, follow the Michigan Stuck tag on Tumblr. Lots of stuff happens there. We also post a little bit in the Ohio Stuck and the Chicago Stuck tags, because they're our neighbors. And so just come on out. We're a great community here in Michigan, and I hope to see everybody next time.
Very cool. Well, thank you, Lance. And from the Doubletree Hotel in Dearborn, Michigan, this has been the Weird Review.
Weird.
Thank you, guys.
Okay, we got it right.
You guys are wonderful.